Hello, happy winter solstice, everyone. I decided to come on live today because I had quite a few downloads and things to share just about the winter solstice, of wrapping up what the year of the snake actually was really about, preparing for the year of the fire horse coming up in 2026, which I'll get to it, but it actually starts on February 17th. And then what that year is going to be able to hold. And then a lot of the philosophizing, for lack of a better word, that has been coming through for the past week. So, first, I want to say, the winter solstice, it's coming down. It's coming down at this like very, very interesting time period in history, right? Yes, we just had a new moon in Sagittarius. Lilith just went into Sagittarius. Hi, Carrie. And also, right, we've got this like this day that is one of the, in a way, in Chinese astrology anyway, it's honestly one of the most important days of the year versus New Year, because the first day of winter is kind of setting yourself up for the entire rest of the year. Winter is when we what? Hibernate, right? And so it's all about the winter arc, right? Becoming your CEO baddie during this time, and then resurfacing once winter is over as your new and improved updated identity, right? And so then you delulu that shit and then you make that shit come true. So uh today, it was really important to take time to reflect, to take time to look back on the year and to really ask yourself, what was this year of 2025 really all about for you, right? Because it's just a crazy wild time to be alive, but I'll get into that in a second. I will try to stay on task with what I wanted to talk about. So, the first thing is that this was 2025 was the year of the wood snake in Chinese astrology. Now, also in numerology, it was a 9 year, so it was wrapping up things, or wrapping up old cycles, or wrapping stuff up. And it was also with the year of the wood snake. The wood snake is like a yin element, which is feminine, and then the snake is very divine feminine. And it was about really, really kind of, it was a little secretive. It was a little bit more like behind the wings, but it was really pulling at every single thing that was not aligned with who you truly are. That is really, when I was looking back at what I experienced personally for the year of the snake, that is what it really was. It was taking every single thing, every single belief, every single behavioral pattern, every single relationship that you had, in all facets, and being like, this is not aligned, this is not aligned, this is not aligned, this is not aligned. And if you didn't follow that and change that, you had a lot of endings happen. You had a lot of friendships just cut out. You had a lot of business projects fail. You would have a really difficult time making money or making your mark, even though you're seeing all of these other people making like $1 million a month on TikTok Shop. And you're like, how come I can't get money into my bank account? You were feeling identity crashes and maybe having, in a way, like midlife crises, or like just being like, who am I now? Because nothing that is used to work isn't working anymore, right? And in one hand, you think, oh my God, this must be destruction. I must have done something bad. But in chaos, right? Because Uranus was in Gemini, in chaos, it's like a tornado, right? So a lot of stuff gets shifted around. Some stuff is good, but some stuff is not good and needs to be whirled away. And a lot of times when we are dragging our feet from trying to, basically take out the stuff that isn't in alignment, and we're like, no, but we like it. No, but we like it. sometimes, depending on your fate and depending on what you're supposed to do, spirit comes in and is like, no, bitch, really? We're just going to take that from you because it's time, right? And it's painful and it's upsetting because it gets us out of our comfort zone. It makes us like feel very vulnerable, and it causes us to really reconsider and rethink, who am I, right? Okay. Celine, thank you. Yes. Um, as a dog, the snake and dragon were bombs in my life, cleared so much and highlighted so many patterns. Exactly. Celine, thank you so much for the roses. That was so sweet. And um, oh my gosh, someone said something. Oh, yeah, talks. Love this color in you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm loving this like light blue too. So thank you. So perfect. Awesome. So, yes, I'm back. And this is a long chat because I have a lot to get through. So bear with me. Um, so the year of the snake was about shedding your false identities so that you could come back home to your true identity of who you actually are. Not like who you aspire to be, not who you wish you could be, not who like you hope to be, not the identity that your parents gave you, your boyfriend gave you, your husband gave you, society gave you, or whatever it was. It was who, like, why did your soul even decide to incarnate into earth at this specific moment in history? You know, because it's a really wild time to be alive. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? We're literally sitting here right before the collapse of another Roman Empire. We're most likely going to be going into World War III, or at least a civil war at this point. In a way that's actually positive, because things can't continue to go the way that it's going. We've had to have these very toxic, I'll just say toxic, but like these toxic and terrible people in charge so that more of the collective can wake the fuck up and realize that something's not right. Like this system, the entire system isn't right. It's not just who's president. It's the entire system, right? So this got me thinking. And I was like, okay, so if the year of the snake was to actually peel off all of the false layers so that you're shedding your old skins and then you're emerging as who you came here to be, then the fire horse, and which is kind of really exciting if you've done the work. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But if you have done the work to actually prune like prune yourself like a tree or like a bonsai so that your true form can be illuminated, then the fire horse is going to be really, really good for you, because the fire horse, okay, so the fire horse in Chinese astrology is really kind of exciting because it's a yang, which is masculine, a yang element, and also it is a heavenly fire element, which means that the yang horse is literally like the sun. Think Leo. Think like, oh, we're having a whole entire party dedicated to this person, to the fire horse. And the fire horse is like obviously late, but is like, this is my arrival. And you'll feel it. You'll feel them. You'll know they're coming. You know that their carriage is on the way. You know that like they're going to, and it's going to be like, and they make an entrance, right? When the heavenly fire or sun beams down onto like the room or the world, right? In this case, it literally illuminates everything. So one of the things is that a lot of people, no one, and I don't want to say a lot, no one's going to be able to hide. So secrets will be coming out. Things are going to be illuminated. Like, you're not going to be able to hide. Now, also on top of that, all right, yes, Mother Earth is in so much pain. I agree. These are Carolina Herrera's for my glasses. So thank you. I'm so glad you like them. I like them too. So when we are going to this metaphor, right? Because you can imagine it like this big, beautiful, bright sun. But the sun is also very hot. The sun is very hot, so things can get a little spicy. It's also going to be a little bit unpredictable. It's also going to be moving very fast, as in fire. If you think about a forest fire, right, versus a candle, there's a difference between a fire that's a candle, right, just like this tiny little thing, or like a tiny little light like that, and then like my ring light, which is this massive spotlight, right? You can see the you can see it, the big round thing on my glasses, right? So this can totally outshine this because it's just a lot more powerful. It's a lot bigger, and it will eventually snuff out one teeny tiny little light like that, which is what the year of the snake has been. It's just been this one teeny tiny light, not this string over there, okay, but like just one of these teeny tiny little lights. So when we go through the fire horse, if you have done the work and you are then able to, unapologetically be yourself, this will be the time where people are going to speak their truths. People are going to show you who they are. This is going to be where you're going to see like a whole new wave of celebrities come through, a whole new wave of pop culture come through, because the fire horse celebrates those kinds of things, right? And then if you want to look at it in Western astrology, what is it? Uranus. Is it Uranus? It's one of the outer planets. It's shifting signs, I think, or it might be Neptune. I think it's Neptune shifting from Pisces to Aries. The last time that Neptune shifted from Pisces to Aries, we ended up having the bubblegum pop phase. Oh no, the grunge phase or whatever. So it's like you're gonna see like this massive shift even in pop culture. Now, how does that relate to you? Well, this is where I want to start my philosophical debate, and then y'all feel free to interact. So my thing was this, all right? It's like, all right, as we prepare for this, now I have most of my ancestry of Chinese descent. So I went to go look at Chinese astrology, right? Because what was interesting is as my old identities have been peeling off and as I have been coming into who I am and what I do and what I love to do, then I was thinking like, okay, how can I set myself up for success for 2026? And one of the things to me is identity. You need to lock in your identity because if you don't know who the fuck you are, how can you possibly start creating a life that you're actually going to love, right? And this was kind of like becoming the cornerstone of my actual identity, right? But I was like, how do I put it into terms? Because I've been a whole bunch of different things. I've always known what I wanted, but then, in the past couple of years, that has come into question just because I've been blocked every single time I've gone after the things that I was truly passionate about and that really sparked joy for me, right? And so Western astrology and my Western chart, if you took a look at it, you would see that I have a lot of placements that would dictate that I am meant to be a leader and that I am meant to be in the spotlight. Like my 10th house is in Leo. My midheaven is in Leo. I have 3 planets in Leo. Like, even though I'm a Gemini and I'm like, but y'all know that even when I get fiery and stuff and I've got this long mane of hair, like, right, people are like, oh my God, are you an Aries? Are you a Leo? Are you a Sagittarius? Because there's a lot of that fire element in my chart, which lends for me to be able to speak really well. My Mercury is in the 9th house in Cancer. So I'm very nurturing with my words, but I also know how to speak truth, right? And that's what I get known for, is like speaking like absolute truths of the things that people can't see. And then there's also like I have a Virgo stellium. So the Virgo stellium would dictate that I'm really good at teaching and analyzing and like breaking things down and being detail oriented and like being very specific about what it is that is wrong so that you can fix it and giving you the step by step so you can change it, right? And that is really where I have, in fact, made the most money, right? In my career. Uh, so like, yes, tarot readings are great and all, but people are not wanting me for my tarot readings. People are really wanting me for like, okay, why can't I find the love of my life? How come my business is losing money? Where is it? Why am I having such a difficult time with this rebrand? I don't really know what direction in life to take. What's actually blocking me from getting to where I want to go? I don't understand where this trauma is coming from. They come to me, and then because of my psychic abilities, and again, I don't know anybody who does what I do, but I'm basically like a neurosurgeon, but like a spiritual one. So so that's why I was like, I jokingly would call myself a soul surgeon, because I literally go into your soul. It's not on this plane. It is not Reiki. It is not chi. Like, it is something else. I don't know how to explain it. But the clients who have had those sessions with me, I go straight in. I tell them exactly what I'm seeing. I tell them exactly where I've pinpointed, oh, it's because of this trauma that was like passed down from your dad from like 5 generations back. This is the vision that I saw. This is kind of what it is for you. And it's undergoing this. And they're like, holy, and then they start crying because they're like, oh my God, da, 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 da. And it's like it tracks, right? And so I remove it permanently so that they can have that relief and then they feel better. That's what they pay me for. They don't pay me for therapy. They don't pay me for coaching. They pay me for exercising out the tumor that was causing all of that distress in the first place, right? So I digress. But Western astrology wasn't really giving as far as like what actually the predictions are for like next year. And I was having an issue finding the identity that was going to be able to match what it is that I'm already gifted in. So then I went to Vedic astrology. And so I was learning a lot about Vedic astrology, and there is a purpose for it. Vedic actually tells you your karmic contracts that you're here to learn. Oh yeah. So if you really wanted to know what karmic lessons you signed up to learn this lifetime, you're going to look at your Vedic chart and not your Western chart or your tropical chart. They're I don't want to say completely different. They give you completely different information. And while it can both resonate, like I'm a Gemini sun in tropical, but I'm a Taurus sun in sidereal or Vedic, I do actually identify with both. Like, obviously, I love to talk, but my soul is coded for Venusian luxury. And not only am I a Taurus sun in Vedic, but I'm also a Libra rising. So those are 2 planets ruled by Venus. So my ascendant is in Venus, ruled by Venus, and then that is in my Taurus sun. So it's like very, very Venus. That's why I like to doll up. That's why I like to look pretty. That's why even in sweatpants, I like to still look put together, right? Like we're giving like ice skating princess or something today. I don't know. Like, you get it though, right? And so that's just who I am, right? So you can find your Vedic or sidereal charts on astro.com or astroseek.com or whatever. And there's also lots of different Vedic astrology sites that you can get your chart for free or whatever. So I was looking at that and like really looking at the timing, right? So Western astrology says that it will predict timing, but Vedic astrology will give you your soul timing. So like, for example, I just finished a cycle with Saturn. Yeah. So I had a lot of tough lessons about really how to have discipline for myself and my business and how I operated and how it was going to like help me take action, but like take action in a disciplined way so that I could build momentum and gain the authority and reputation and fame that I am wanting, right? So now I'm entering into a Mercury phase where it's time for me to speak my truth. So in 2026, for me specifically, it's going to be about my voice. Like, everyone needs to hear my voice. It's about what I communicate. So whether it is thinking or it is writing, or if it is a podcast or whatever, if I start a new blog, or if I really write a book that breaks down everything that I'm talking about, that is what is going to like continue to boost my star and my destiny into where it's meant to be. And then according to my Vedic, my wealth will then super pop off in 2027 because I have set myself up as this voice of strategic authority in 2026. right? If that makes any sense. So just follow me along. I'm just using myself as an example just so that you can understand what my point is getting to. Um, so then I was like, okay, but then I still sort of had questions because I'm like, okay, so Western is how people see you. Like tropical is how people see you and how your human self navigates through the life. So if you want to brand yourself, you're going to want to use tropical. But Vedic is who you are as a soul. And that is what the year of the snake was illuminating for you. So that was like confirmation. When I was reading through my Vedic charts, I was like, okay, this makes sense because I am that type of person. I feel this type of way. I am meant to be an authority. I am meant to be a leader. I am not meant to be like I can never work a 9 to 5, for example, because I need to be my own boss, which is why entrepreneurship works really well for me. And to create my own authority on whatever subject it is that I become a master or an expert in, right? So, okay, good. So I'm glad that this is tracking. So here's what's really fascinating about this, and this is kind of the work that I believe I will be doing more of in 2026, right? So, um, let me pause real quick here. So then I was like, something is still missing. There's still a missing piece here that doesn't make sense to me with only using tropical or only using Vedic or even only using those two. How do I operate on a daily basis? What's going to be the best like clothes for me to wear? What's going to be the best diet for me? What's going to be the best way for me to get myself out there and promote myself? What kind of things are leaning towards like what's going to be easiest for me versus doing the things that are harder? Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of throwing spaghetti at the wall and then seeing what works and what doesn't. I would rather be able to have a map, and astrology claims that it's a map, right? To be able to chart my way forward with the path of least resistance so I'm not literally beating my head against the wall. Okay, now, with that being said, hold on. I'm getting to human design. So here, but here's my thing. So, I was like, there has to be a better way. So it's interesting because there are purists, right? There are people they subscribe to a spiritual modality and like only subscribe to it the same way that people only subscribe to one religion. Like it's kind of interesting, right? Like you'll go into astrology rooms and it'll be like, no, Vedic is trash. No, like tropical is trash. Like, no, Vedic is trash. And they'll have these like crazy fucking debates. And then some people are like, well, you can take some from here and some from there. Thank you for the chilies. But like, then you go, okay, well, what the fuck is right? You know? And so me being a Virgo stellium, I'm like, let me do some analysis and scientific experiments and like pick from everything, right? And so I don't think it's one or the other. I think they're only showing specific slices of the puzzle. And you have to be able to in order to get a full 360 view of yourself, you actually have to learn all of them in order to fully understand the depth of who you actually came here to be. So, all right. So then, all right, I already studied human design, but the reason why I discount a lot of human design is because it was created upon a lot of borrowed things that had already existed. Now, the one thing, and also they gatekeep, the guy who created it are gatekeeping the most highest up levels, advanced levels, and you have to pay like thousands of dollars to access it. And that seems like ridiculous to me. Like, God didn't give you that download and then is like, oh, but we're gatekeeping it. So you can shut the fuck up and sit down. Sorry, not sorry. So human design, though, it's really good, but it is also based on your astrology. The one thing that it's beneficial for is your energetics, right? So if I was going to take anything from human design, it would be your type and your authority. Hands down. Hands down. Your type and your authority, if you follow that to a T, it really will help you reduce resistance, struggle, and suffering on a daily basis because it changes the way that you operate. Now, here's what's interesting, right? So I'll give you an example. My I'm a manifesting generator, but I am an emotional authority, not a sacral. Now, I obviously have a sacral response, but my emotional authority dictates that I cannot make yes, no, quick decisions in the moment. So when I see like, oh my God, that's the prettiest dress in the whole wide world, I need to have it. I should not buy it. Don't buy it. Do not buy it. I have to wait for my entire dopamine cycle to like calm the fuck down and then go, okay, now that I'm calm, now that I'm rational, now that I look at my bank account, is this something that I still really want? If it is, yes, then buy it. But if no, then don't buy it. It's not worth it. It's going to be a waste of your money. So, also with an emotional authority, I know very well, and this is backed by scientific research on myself, that if I am not 100% passionate about something, if it's something, it doesn't excite me, it will never make me money. I will never follow through with it, and I will not want to do it. That is just how emotional authorities are, because our main thing is if I'm satisfied, then it'll feel good and I will do it with all of my heart. But if I don't, then I get extremely frustrated, right? And so that's why tarot readings were starting to frustrate me very early on in my career, because I am not here to be someone's therapist. I am not here to sit here and handhold you while you don't want to change. Like, that is not how I am structurally built, and it does not make me emotionally happy. It drains the ever living fuck out of me. I like working with clients who are ready to change and willing to do the work and willing to I'm like, okay, this is exactly your problem right there. And then all you have to do is step A, B, and C. Go do that and come back to me. Then we'll go forward and create the next thing. That is my zone of genius. And that is what people pay me the big bucks for, because I see what they can't see, and I mitigate loss and loss of wealth, reputation, and health, everything, right? Okay. So what's interesting though, if you want to compare it with Western astrology, you normally would look at your sixth house, which is your house of daily routines. Mine is in Aries. Aries would dictate that I need to work out. I have to have this burst of energy. I got to get out of my system. It's very active. It's very like move your body. Mine is in Aries. Aries would dictate that I need to work out. I have to have this burst of energy. I got to get out of my system. It's very active. It's very like move your body. Da, 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 da. And guess what? HIIT workouts are exactly the opposite of what I should be doing. Those things actually, okay, I digress. So then I moved, so it actually doesn't work for me. The more like yoga, Pilates, like going on like nice long walks, stretching, yin yoga, not hot yoga, those things work for me. And then the other ones don't. Well, why is that when I have Aries in the sixth house? And people who read my charts will say, oh, if Aries is in the sixth house, you need to do HIIT workouts. And I'm like, that shit doesn't work for me. So that is wrong, right? Because there's this level of intuition where you're like, no, I literally like gag me with a spoon. I will never join an Orange Theory to save my fucking life. Like, it's just not for me, even though my tropical chart says that that's what I'm supposed to do. So you shouldn't listen to it, right? So that's why it's interesting, okay? Now, something in human design, let's talk about this before I get into the Chinese astrology of it all, okay? So I'm like, all right, Western is not working, totally. Vedic is not working, totally, okay? Human design is not working, totally, all right? Gene keys isn't even working, totally. Numerology isn't even working for me, totally. I have studied all of those modalities in depth to try and figure out why I'm the crazy bitch that I am. But am I a crazy bitch? Or has someone just not been able to explain to me in a way that I can understand who I actually am at my core? So I then went to Chinese astrology. I went back to my roots. Now, the funny story on how I did that, just to make y'all laugh, it's kind of hilarious. So I went to go get my nails did, and so my nail tech, she's one of my longest time friends. I've been going to her for like years, okay? Babysitter kids, like her family, all the things. Love her. She's Vietnamese. So we were talking about the year of the horse, coming up, the year of the fire horse. And she's like, yeah, I remember you're a metal, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, but it depends what kind of metal. And she's like, because I'm like the gold at the bottom of the ocean. What are you? And I'm like, in my head, I obviously didn't say this aloud because I'm not a total bitch. But in my head, I was like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? I have like grown up on Chinese Buddhism. I have never in my life heard about someone being the gold at the bottom of the motherfucking ocean. The fuck you talking about, right? And I was just sitting there. She's like, anyway, go look it up. I'm going to go to the bathroom. So you know what I did? I whipped open Google Gemini because Google Gemini is a lot better of a research engine than ChatGPT is. And I was like, okay, Google, what the fuck is this shit? What is she talking about? And if you can figure it out, what am I? Thank you for the follow. So it's like, oh, she's talking about this specific poetic way of describing Chinese astrology called Na Yin. Okay. And I was like, oh, and now I love to learn something new. I'm never like, I know it all. I just want to know the answers that are going to help me get to where I want to go. Right. Okay. So as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. So her technical like Na Yin element is gold in the ocean. So she's correct. So if you want to think about the imagery for this, and this is why I do appreciate and love Chinese astrology, because they work in metaphors and they work in like lunation, moon cycles, and like seasons and timing and all of that. So it just logically can make sense. So it's easier to remember than being like, oh, an Aries is like this, a sextile is this, but a conjunction on Neptune means this. Like, what the fuck? You're talking a completely different language and it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's hard for someone to understand it, right? That's why so many astrologers are trying to use everyday metaphors so that you can understand. Now, gold in the ocean. Think about this. If you were a piece of gold at the bottom of the ocean, what do you think that indicates, right? You're very valuable. So this is the way that she described it. She's like, I'm worth a lot, right? And I can make a lot of money, right? But I will never be famous because people have to hunt all the way down to the bottom of the ocean to even find me. So on the positive note, she'll never get burned. No one can access her to the point of like harming her. But she also has a difficult time getting seen because she's at the bottom of the mother effing ocean. Does that not make so much sense, right? Like metaphorically, you can see it in your eye. You're like, oh yeah, oh my God, I totally get it. Oh my God, what's mine, right? That's the question that you want now. Like, I want to understand who I am. So I asked Google Gemini what I was, and they were like, oh, you're a yin metal, or XIN, so a shin metal. So what that indicates is that I am a diamond on the throne. And I was like, bitch, yes, yeah. Like my Venus coded from my Vedic astrology was like, bitch, yes. That feels so right to me. Strategic, precise, analytical, what I get paid most to do. I like to, and I do it with everything. Like even when I was curating things for TikTok shop, like I would be like, okay, so this is the one that I need to use. And you know, this is the best microphone because of, and I will prove it to you, not just like tell you this whole story about, oh my God, because I use this microphone, I got this gig. It was more like, no, these are the features that you really want to look for that make a bigger distinction from the cheap one that everyone else says to use. And here's why it's worth more of the money. You get X, Y, and Z. The range of where you can do it is, you know, this much bigger. It has a lot more consistency. It has a longer charge. It's also a lot more durable, and you get a lot of these other accessories that the other ones do not include. Like for example, the wind, the puffer, right? So that when you're like, you know what I'm saying? When you're like going in the mic, which sometimes people have, right? On the cheaper one or whatever. So it's like, if you're interested in a high quality mic that's not going to, you know, take you down, and also it has a double one in here. So if you're doing a two-way interview, you can put one on someone else. You can get it at the link in my bio, or, you know, you can get it in my TikTok shop cart or whatever, right? Did I get any certifications? No. I have my own wisdoms, because here's the reason why I didn't get any certifications. Because all of that stuff, right? It's certified in what? Certified in astrology. Why? There's 1,000 astrologers, right? And then there's flaws in the system. There's problems with the system, and it gets interpreted in different ways, like a tarot card. Like, do I need to get certified in being a tarot reader to prove that I'm a really good tarot reader? No, I do free readings and I do collective readings, and then they resonate with hundreds of thousands of people. And like every single time, it's literally like, you know, hi Nick, I'm going to tell you this one time, but this is not a live for self-promotion. So I'm going to mute you for 5 minutes. Okay. So then I'm like, okay, so numerology gives you some stuff. Human design gives you some stuff. I'm certified in dialing in. Well, I'm certified in what I know. And I can prove it to you with cold, hard logistical facts and data points. So it will be very difficult to prove that I am a charlatan or a fake, or I'm just trying to take your money, because I can prove it to you why my expertise is legitimate. I'll just put it that way. Okay. So therefore, I've been self-taught, right? I've taken a lot of courses. I've studied from a lot of mentors, expensive and cheap and everywhere in between. I've tried to read, I've read volumes of books. I've listened and watched tons of videos, and then came to this conclusion. Then I went to my Chinese astrology, and then that was a whole nother situation in and of itself. So when I started to put all of this together, right, and to try and discern who I am, what was interesting was with the Chinese astrology, in a way, Google Gemini was actually wrong. I'm not a Shin metal. I'm technically a pomegranate wood. Okay. But then there's a lot more depth to it, and it gets a little bit more complicated and more in depth. So I want you to just make sure that I can do a tutorial on exactly how to understand your 4 wealth pillars in Chinese astrology, and to begin to understand the basics of it to get what you actually need from it. But the thing that I don't like about Chinese astrology is that even though it is still also a map and it's not an absolute, but when they do talk about destinies and energetics, it does tend to show you very accurately that there are some things that you are just never going to be able to accomplish this lifetime. And I'm going to give you an example, because this is what I think my work, or my body of work that I need to be known for, is going to be, that I'm going to be creating. Let me answer questions in a second. Let me just finish this thought. So my point is this, because I want to do this and then I'll go and do questions. So keep on commenting your questions. I will go back and answer them after I finish this thought, this one thought. So when I went into the Chinese astrology, and this is why it's dangerous, I think, and I think you're cutting yourself off at the knees if you're only subscribing to only one modality or 2 modalities, all right? So when I was doing a deep dive into my Chinese astrology chart, basically what it was telling me was that I actually am a pomegranate wood, which would indicate that I am basically a late bloomer. So I'm like Mulan. Okay. If you want to look at that, compare that to human design, most generators, and then I'm assuming most manifesting generators, are also the same, where you have to master a specific skill over a period of time, and then you get known for that skill. So your type of fame and reputation actually improves as you get older, versus people who like born, peak, and then like just continually go down for the rest of their lives, right? Like you want to take someone like Britney Spears, right? I love her. I am a Britney stan till the day I die. she was amazing. She peaked. And then obviously, like, her support structure was complete trash. And now she's like living the rest of her life doing whatever. And that's what she deserves to have. But like, I don't necessarily see her having a comeback after all of the abuse and torture and suppression that she went through. Right. So, sort of like, you think you kind of have to like go, okay, would I rather have my peak early or later in life? I mean, you can look at someone like Morgan Freeman, Betty White. They got their peaks at a later, right, age. And then there are people like all of the young kids, Amanda Bynes and Hilary Duff and Miley Cyrus, Zendaya, right? Like Daya, whatever. Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm, ruining people's names, but all of them peaked when they're younger, and then we'll see what happens, right? Well, you see what happens. Lindsay Lohan, etc. Lindsay Lohan is doing Old Navy commercials with her new face. That's not necessarily a rebrand, and that's not necessarily a comeback, right? You're not like, oh my God, she's so relevant again. Because Hollywood is dead now, right? The younger generation doesn't watch movies and television shows. They watch TikTok. They don't care about a famous actor. They're like, okay, whatever. They would rather idol K-pop idols, like in K-pop Demon Hunters or whatever. Okay, even though that is a movie, but you get my point. Okay, or like their favorite influencer. That would be a better analogy. So when I went and looked in my Chinese astrology, the thing that was actually very damaging, right? And so I just want to caution you, and this is the point that I'll make, and then I'll go back to questions, is that in Chinese astrology, it actually states in my chart that my energetics, because of the composite of the elements that I am, right? Of a lot of metal and water and wood or whatever it is, that I would never, ever, ever be an A-list celebrity actress, no matter how hard I tried. Like, it's literally not coded for me, right? And I was in the industry for what, 15 years? 10 years, 15 years? Like, I did get some modicum of success. I actually have an acting career that I know people would have killed for, if that makes any sense. Like, I have done commercials. I have done some small co-stars and guest star roles. I have acted opposite of some very famous people. I have been able to work with A-list celebrities. I have been able to write, produce, and direct my own web series. I was also starring in the first ever live sitcom web series ever to be created. And the screenwriters were from like famous sitcoms that we watch. I have dated a Hollywood director, like that's pretty famous. So it's not to say that I didn't get some level of success, but it wasn't sustainable. And it wasn't like, obviously, y'all didn't even know that I fucking acted. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I don't really put it as a flex. It's something that was like storytelling is a big passion of mine, right? And y'all hear me talk about all the Disney movies and Harry Potter and like the fantasy elements and like bringing in, what if you could create a world like that, and the morals and the stories and the characters that I love to play. But the characters that I could play as an Asian American female at that point in time when I was going at it full throttle were literally non-existent. There was Lucy Liu, Sandra Oh, and like Brenda Song on the Disney Channel. That was it. Like, there was no one that looked like me. And for everyone that says that I look like Sandra Oh, y'all need to get your eyes checked, because the only thing that she and I have in common is when I make my hair crimped like this, and then y'all think I look like that. And then we both have an oval face. Now, granted, I look more Korean than I do Chinese, which is most of my descent, but we literally have completely different eye shapes and nose shapes and mouth shapes. So it's like, I'm not quite sure where everyone gets that, but it's also called there's not enough representation. And so people are like, oh, you look like Sandra Oh, when I literally don't look anything like her at all, right? So that's a problem because in my Chinese chart, the Hollywood industry or any kind of entertainment business, so whether that's music, acting, singing, dancing, all of those industries, in being an influencer, all of those industries, including being an influencer, are firewood industries. That means that you have to have a massive output daily. So let's take someone like Alex Earl, who has to pump out 5 videos a day. A day. Okay? Every day. Maximizing exposure, having to have a lot of fire and wood to churn all of that out, going here, going there, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, needing mass approval. So you're literally performing to get seen. You are literally an entertainment for people. That is what you're selling. You're selling entertainment and you're selling performance. That is what an influencer is. That is what a Hollywood actor is. That is what a Grammy singer is. They are entertainment. That is what they do. And in my Chinese astrology chart, I am not meant for mass consumption. It burns me out, right? And it's true. I was an influencer in 2023 here on TikTok. I amassed 125,000 followers on TikTok. I was making bank on TikTok Shop. Okay. Everyone was coming to me. I was having clients left and right. I was having all these mentorships. Like I was fucking like in it, right? But I burned out. Also, it was way against a lot of my morals and values when they're like, oh yeah, you can just lie. I'm sorry, you want me to take this supplement and within 7 days do a video being like, oh my God, this made my hair grow so fast and it made it so shiny. I can't lie like that. Like that's literally against my morals and values. Hi, Althea. So that's very jarring. And when I was like trying to ask, like, or trying to interpret and like ask and understand, like, well, is there a way that I could have gotten it? Like maybe I should have done more web series. I should have written, produced, and directed and started more of my own content. If I had chosen that path, would I have been able to get more notoriety? Because I was creating web series when they first came out, and I know this. And at the same time as this, one of my friends, Bernie Sue, who he took more of a directorial approach because he didn't really want to be in front of the camera, but he continued to make short form web content, and he ended up winning an Oscar for it. Like literally, no joke. So it's like, could that have been my life if I had decided to like just create my own content? Because my Chinese astrology states that I gain fame and success from being my own authority. So instead of like wanting to get into a Hollywood movie, I need to create my own Hollywood. I need to create my own stage where I'm the one that's dictating this. So I would have been a better director than I would have been an actor because, and trust me, people have told me multiple times, oh my God, you're an amazing director. Even casting, because again, I knew the town down, right? And I had like major famous casting directors, producers, writers, and even actors being like, why are you not famous yet? Like, why are you not a series regular on a show? Like, why are you not having a 3-picture deal? I literally don't understand that. You have the looks, the talent, the, you know, the wisdom, the experience, all of this stuff. Like, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, you're in the position of power. So like, if you want to hire me, I'm here. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you to do. Like, just keep doing what you do, I guess. Right. And it was very disheartening to hear as I was trying to pursue something that brought my soul so much joy. I have so many stories to tell. I have so many stories to share that are going to, inspire people, lift people up, and like do that stuff. So I was thinking content creation would be really great because then it's my own platform. I can talk about what I want. This is my live stream. I'm the star of the show. I get to say whatever I want to say. But if you notice, and especially if you've been here with me for a long time, I never get like hundreds of thousands of views. I don't ever have 10,000 people. I only have 10 people watching me every single time I go live. Even at my pinnacle peak of my influencer career here on TikTok, I had maybe 50 people max. That was it. Like, I am not mass appeal, even though I churned it the fuck out, even though I posted every single day for 2 years straight. Yeah, 2 years straight. 3 years straight. And these are my numbers, 11 people. So in a way, when you're looking at data, I'm not trying to be emotional about this, even though I am very emotional about it inside. I'm just very contained. Because I've just been crying my eyes out because it's just been really frustrating to find the solution that I'm looking for, right? And so what's interesting about the Chinese astrology is the fact that I am not meant to follow someone else's framework. I'm meant to synthesize my own. And I asked, okay, fine. If I am going to lean into my Chinese chart and energetics, what would be the ideal career for me? And they're like, okay, you need to be a strategic authority. So you need to be like a strategist, an architect, okay, an advisor. Not a therapist, not a coach, not a teacher. It's different. It's very different when you advise someone and when you teach, like when you're coaching someone. They're two completely different categories. That's why coaching would drain me, right? And they said that number one, I would have a couple of high-end clients that I have on retainer, right? That I would advise on retainer. So they pay me a flat fee and then they call me whenever to be like, oh my God, what do I do about this? And then I tune in, I go, do that. Also, stop being an asshole or whatever, right? And then I move on. And then the second thing I would do is create an IP, which is intellectual property for those of you who don't know business, but an IP framework that is completely original and unique. And then I can either sell that or sell certifications, sell franchises, write the book about it. Then I can create the course for the public, right? So for example, like the thing that I was thinking about doing was creating a way, like an actual framework that any person could use that synthesized all of the different spiritual modalities. But I have a second part of this. So this might be a long live, okay? But maybe stop being so beautiful. What are you talking about? My Venus coded self is like, no, I need to get more beautiful. Side note, I fixed my skin by getting a humidifier. I can talk about that in a second. Now, going back to the framework, I was thinking about creating something that was synthesizing all of the different spiritual modalities that we have, and maybe even including neuroscience, quantum physics, and spiritual law, combined with Western astrology, Vedic astrology, numerology, gene keys, I Ching, Chinese astrology, and numerology all in one place. So you didn't have to go and become a master and learn all of this shit. Like, you don't need to know what a trine is. You don't need to know what a Madhurasha is. You don't need to know what an Antardasha is. You don't necessarily need to know what like the Jin Yao means or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But I could break it down and synthesize it so you could go and get your charts for free, because all birth charts you can get in any of these modalities for free. But how to explain it to somebody, how to be able to interpret it, how to be able to put that piece of information together with this piece of information together, and then combining them will actually give you the blueprint on this is how you make the money. This is how you attract your soulmate. This is how you have the best health. This is how you create your wealth. This is the legacy you're supposed to leave behind. These are the karmic lessons that you're going to need to go through. This is how you know if someone's going to be a good friend to you or not. This is how you know if you outgrow someone or not. This is someone that you need on your team to complement you so that you can thrive together, right? So there are all of these different things that I obviously get these questions on a daily basis, like ever since I've like, came out with my superpowers and shit like that. But now I can then codify a way to be like, oh, you're doing that. You need to look at this point from your astrology, from your tropical, this part from your Vedic, and this part from your numerology. And when you put that all together, that's the answer to your question. And then that way, it saves everybody a lot of heartache, suppression, confusion, time, leaking resources and energy and stress and health. You can eliminate all of that if you actually had a blueprint on how to navigate this shit show of an existence called life, right? So, I want to go back and answer questions, but just to follow up with this, Teresa, yes, but without going through something, will they understand? So I've always said this to every single one of my clients. So if you've seen this before, if you've been a client of me before, you will know, you've heard me say this 100,000 times. Anytime they ask me a question, I go, do you want to learn this the easy way or the hard way? I do that every single time. Now, there are some lessons you do have to learn the hard way, right? But I'll give you and then there's some that you can honestly learn from other people's mistakes and never have to learn it like the hard way. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to find the love of your life, right? It would be completely false and idiotic and asinine of me to say, oh, I can just tell you blah, 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 and you will never get your heart broken. Lie. Anyone who tells you that is a lie. But what I can tell you is this. You are going to experience your first heartbreak, but what I can do for you is I can teach you how to look for the warning signs. So you can either A, leave early so you don't have to have as much heartbreak, or B, you can actually prevent it from really happening a lot and can find an actual viable partner for you faster. You won't have to waste 20 years in a marriage with a narcissistic husband who abused you and gaslit you to high heavens. You would have been able to notice that way earlier and maybe not even married him in the first place. That is what I can do. But I can't control how long you're going to stay in that marriage for. I can tell you that there are a lot of red flags, and then it's going to be up to you to be like, okay, I need to get out, or I'm going to stay in this and suffer a little longer before I finally get out. So, I'll give you another example with money. So for the next year, according to my Chinese timing, okay, I am not meant to make fast cash. Last year and this past year, 2025 and 2026, I am not allowed, the timing dictates that I will not be making like large fast cash. So even if I had gone all in on TikTok Shop and only done TikTok Shop videos, I would not have gotten the $1 million a month like these other women are pulling, like these numbers that these other women are pulling, okay? Because it is not aligned with the timing of my life, nor is it beneficial in the energetics of my makeup, according to Chinese astrology. Okay? So I'm sure you could look up my Western and be like, oh yeah, because your Neptune is square or conjunct the fucking sun and this, whatever. Fine. So the only way for me to make money, now it doesn't mean that I won't make any money. It just means that the money that I make has to be earned through discipline and like methodical, like ways of doing things. So always being like, here's the thing, here's the thing, here's the thing, here's the thing. So when you do know that, now as much as that sucks, because honestly, yes, I would like that, but my astrology also says that I usually get money in big chunks. So I'll get like $100,000 here, $100,000 here, $100,000 here, but I don't make $100,000 every single day. You see what I'm saying? Like there are people who like go to work and get a paycheck every single week, but mine is like, oh, it's like massive sum of money here. And then like 3 months will go by and it's like, I'll make like I don't know, like I'm reselling a shirt on Poshmark and make 20 bucks. Yay. But when you think like $100,000 or $20, you're like, no, I want the $100,000 and then I budget, until the next flow comes, right? So can I take you down to Little White Church? Jamie, I don't even know where you are. But thank you for asking. My first, I just got a proposal on the winter solstice. I don't know. I just need a screenshot that. I just got proposed to on the winter solstice. Thank you. Thank you for making me smile, Jamie. So I say all this to say, before I really, and I apologize for people who I didn't answer their questions yet, but I wanted to make it really clear that, like, according to all of these things, they do have things in common, right? Like, my Vedic astrology states that I'm supposed to be an authority of my own and not supposed to be taking authority from someone else. My Chinese astrology confirms that. My Western astrology is like, bitch, she's a fucking like Leo midheaven. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course she's supposed to be in the limelight, right? So you can also akin it to, like, if I didn't want to be, let's just say I didn't want to be a strategic advisor because it just makes my soul want to die. The other option is like a thought leader. Now, thought leaders are like Carl Jung. Oh my God, who are other ones? But anyway, they were akinning me to Carl Jung. But anyway, I whatever. But my point is like, thought leaders, the ones that are like, okay, but we got to think about this in a different way. Okay. Oh my God. And you're Canadian. Maybe I will marry you because I might want to move to Canada. So let's discuss. All right. So it doesn't necessarily even need to be with philosophy, but with how things are done. Now, let me get into this next phase of things. Should I get into the next phase with this, or do you want me to go back and answer questions? I can do either. Y'all just tell me what you want. Oh my God, he followed me. Thank you. Is that a dog? Is that your porch? Is your name Mike? What is the significance of 947? Okay. The no is you running away. It was to you running away. Okay. Greetings. So let me philosophy more. Okay. Let's continue with this because I think that you're gonna understand something. All right. So, thought leader. All right. This is the kind of thought leader that I think they're saying I could become, and then author the book, right? Write all these findings, present these facts. Like, I'm not just postulating just to postulate and trying to think that I'm smart. I'm literally trying to find the answers to why life sucks so much on Earth, right? Okay. So let's now move on instead of these maps of our lives, right? So if all of that is garbage, if you're like, no, but that's not fair, even though it states that I should, that I'm not allowed, like I could never be mass famous. I'm never going to see my name on a marquee. I'm never going to be able to have my face on the cover of a magazine. I'm never going to be able to receive like the world fame that I've literally had visions since I was a child of like me standing on a stage, like of a sold out, like Madison Square Garden venue. I have had those visions since I was a child, right? And they always say, right, God doesn't give you a vision that can't come true, that you can't do, right? If you can see it, you can achieve it, okay? So I was like, what if I reject that? What if I reject all of the astrology and numerology and human design and just go after what I want? Oh, and I forgot to tell you too, with human design, an error. So in human design, I have cold digestion, which means I need to eat things that are like room temperature or below because I run hot. Well, guess what? I ate like that and it literally messed my body up so bad. Like I was bloated. I gained like 20 pounds. I was so unhappy. I was lethargic. Like I didn't feel good at all. And then, see, going back to my Chinese roots, I went to I actually went to like TMC or TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine. And I went and I fueled my body with the things that, like, again, my Chinese astrology was telling me to do. And which is like drinking warm water during winter and having like rice and like congee and like all of these other things. I literally dropped 20 pounds like this, right? And now I know, like, I'm not trying to like flex, but like now, like my pants are like literally so freaking loose because like I'm dropping back down to like a size 2 again, just because I'm actually taking care of my body the way that it actually is and not just following my human design, which supposedly is supposed to be correct. Now, in a way, it is correct, but the thing is, and that's the problem with human design, is the fact that human design is only like the instructions to your car, right? So it's like, oh, you drive let me just try and make this into a thing. You drive like this NASCAR 500, like blah, 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 or whatever. Like you're this really shishy race car. That's great. So you need this special kind of fuel, right? Awesome. Okay. But it doesn't account for if you're trying to drive that race car in the dead of winter, right? Because the metal on the engine might be made of a material that doesn't hold up against the cold. Not like a Toyota RAV4 that has like, you know, the whatever, the drive that can get through the snow and can just use regular fuel. Like that car has no problem driving through the snow. But if you're trying to drive like, you know, some sports car, it's not going to make it, right? So human design isn't specific enough to really give you a solid meal plan on a day-to-day basis based off of what? The weather, the environment, where you are if you're aging. Like I'm obviously female, so it would highly depend. Like, am I in my earlier years where I have a ton of collagen, or am I going through perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause? Because your body needs different things in different eras of your life. Chinese medicine factors that in. Human design does not. So there is a very different way of looking at things that can dictate, that can literally screw you over if you're only subscribing to one modality. Now, and thank you for saying that you love me the way I am. I love that Bruno Mars song too. So now, oh yay! That's amazing that you have an appointment. Yeah. So fun fact for all of my ladies out there who want to have like healthy, glowing skin like this, all right? Like I'm embarrassed, but like my before picture, you'll see it. Like there's so many, like my skin was severely dehydrated and I could not for the life of me get like more hydration into my skin. And I didn't understand why. And then they were like, also, so part of it is diet, but then also a humidifier really works. And I only use it at night. And I literally wake up and my skin isn't like taut and awful and like cracked. But there is something called a snow fungus, which is a mushroom. It's a white mushroom and it's like gelatinous type, excuse me. And so one of the things that you can do is you can actually make a snow fungus soup. Now I know that sounds really gross, but just go and Google the mushroom. You can buy it at any Chinese store and you can get recipes online. But anyway, if you eat it 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, it actually rebuilds the collagen and hydration into your skin. And so it's like really good, right? TCM will also say like if you eat a lot of black sesame seeds, that's also actually very hydrating, or black sesame paste, and also like prevents the grays. So that's a little thing. That's a little fun tip. So I'll make more articles about this stuff like in the coming months, but just as a fun fact, because I just learned it and I started doing it and I don't know if you can see the results, like, but I mean, this is my skin. You know what I mean? So there's that. So now let's go through this second part of the philosophizing. So let's reject then all of these charts, right? Because this brings up the topic of fate versus free will. Fate versus free will, okay? Do you have, what is it? Is it that I am doomed to never be famous and be like, that the masses aren't going to herald my name? Or is it free will and I can actually just like, use the spiritual laws, neuroscience, and quantum physics to get what I want, right? So I go, well, according to Chinese astrology, it's literally like you have the cards that you were given at birth, right? Because you can't choose your birth parents, right? You can't choose what ethnicity you are. You can't choose what gender you are. I get that you can be transgendered, but like when you come out of the womb, you didn't have a choice over your family, your ethnicity, and your gender, right? And a lot of things are like hereditary, right? Through just DNA. But so it's like you have a set of cards that you're given, and then how you play them is your free will. So no matter what, if you're destined to never be a famous actress, you will never be a famous actress no matter what you do. That is what they're saying, right? And to me, I don't like that. I don't like that. I reject that. And I don't think that if that is in fact the way that it occurs, then what is the point in living if your personal lifetime, this lifetime, is doomed to just be suffering, right? I wouldn't want to stay here, right? So we have this debate of fate versus free will. Can you change your fate, right? Now, this gets more into the spiritual discussion because we're now entering into the era of, multiverses, multiple timelines, parallel realities, different dimensions, etc. So now let's talk about this on a purely, well, I don't believe in God or a higher power. This is just purely neuroscience. And like, let's talk about this in science facts. Let's take the spirituality out of it, okay? Until I get to spiritual law. So the first thing, neuroscience, how your brain actually operates. So your brain actually operates, and I'm sure y'all have known this, right? Because everyone's like, oh, you have to do nervous system regulation. Bitch, that's not, okay, fine. It's not the source of the problem. It's just solving a symptom. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Because, hear me out, neuroscience is stating through scientific research, right, that your brain literally operates and functions to search your environment for things that confirm the beliefs that you have. So this is what they call like the red car theory or whatever. So if you're like, oh my God, I really want to buy a red car. Like I really want that like red Honda Civic. Okay, that is not anyone's red car. Like, but let's just say like, I want a red Mercedes. Okay. And then you never see them, but you're like, that's my dream car. I want that car. How is it then the next day you walk around and you're driving to work and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's a red Mercedes. There's a red Mercedes. There's a red Mercedes. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that he had a red Mercedes. Like, what is happening right now, right? It's because you programmed your brain because you're like, this is what I want. So it's like ding, 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 search for red Mercedes, search for red Mercedes, search for red Mercedes. So it then all of a sudden starts to scan the environment. Now, let's say when all the scanning, what if you had wanted a green one? Would you have spotted the green one? Probably not, because your brain was only programmed to search for the things that you wanted, that you were believing you could have. That's why they talk about beliefs are so important. Now, the great thing about neuroscience is that the neurons that are firing, you can choose which ones to fire and which ones to not. So if you don't want a limiting belief of I'm poor, I'll never make it, I don't have enough money, it's hard to make money, then you just need to stop firing that neuron. How do you stop firing that neuron? You stop thinking those fucking thoughts. Now, easier said than done, but the mechanics are the same. Once a thought has not been thunk for, I believe it's 30 days. I believe it's 30 days. It might be 60. Don't quote me, but it's around that amount of time. So it's not 7 years is my point. But within 30 to 60 days, if you do not think that thought ever again, those neurons that are not fired there's literally, I forgot the technical term for the cell, but there's a cell that literally goes in like a garbage sweeper and like sweeps away any neurons that have not been activated in the past 30 to 60 days. So you're literally even like, you're literally just like that's how you can change your beliefs on your own without my help. Okay. Like that's just the neuroscience point of view from it. All right. Does that make sense? You might stop the driving rain, might even stop the hurricane, but you can't stop this thing we said. Oh my God. I'm loving this. Okay, thank you. Hi, Kristen. Okay, does that make sense though? So, that's how you can do that, right? That's neuroscience. That's why they say beliefs are so important. That's why they say like you be careful of the thoughts that you think, and you need to change your thoughts in order to change your reality. Right? Because when you are looking for, oh my God, I'm so rich, I'm so rich, I'm so rich, and you're activating that neuron for 30 days, 60 days, being like, oh, I'm so rich, I'm so rich, I'm so rich, I'm so rich, I'm so rich. That's why they say that then your brain will start to scan wealth, rich, 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 where am I rich, where am I rich, where am I rich, where am I rich? And it will pull in the opportunities to make you rich, right? That's how that works. That's how the mechanics work. That's why they say that falling asleep to the repetition of the subliminal messaging, like High Frequency Guru on YouTube, right, works. And I put it in air quotes because it does for some people and it doesn't for others. So there's something to be said for that. If you are saying that that can override, then how come everyone's not rich at this point? Okay, so then you have to move on to quantum physics. Well, what quantum physics describes is the fact that we all live in these parallel realities all at the same time, right? It is just the fact that, like, if you want to akin it to Loki's TV show, right? And having like it fracture off. So every time you make a decision, it fractures into a different timeline. Every time you make another decision, you're going into another timeline, another reality, a different reality, a different reality, a different reality. I'm sure there's a reality. Shit. There probably might be a reality where Jamie and I actually got married, where he came and swept me off my feet and like, I don't know. And then like, I was like, oh my God, he's the love of my life. And we're now living happily ever after in Ontario, like with 2 dogs because I want a dog too. But you know what I'm saying? Like that could very well be a reality. Now, is it the reality that I'm living in right now? No, because I don't even know who the fuck Jamie is. But what I do know is the fact that there is some timeline out there where that is a reality, right? Does that make sense? So a really good depiction of that is the movie Sliding Doors, starring Gwyneth Paltrow back in like 1991 or 6 or something like that. Anyway, it's a movie that millennials have seen before, but what I do really appreciate about it, and I think it would be a really good watch for anybody who's interested in understanding quantum reality or multiple parallel realities and like how one decision can make or break your life, which brings back free will and fate. And not to spoil a movie for you, but I'm going to spoil the movie. So if you don't want the movie spoiled, cover your ears right now. I'm going to give everyone 5 seconds to do this, and then I will tell you when to uncover your ears, okay? So I'll do this, and when you're ready to uncover your ears, you can go like this, okay? So basically, the movie dictates that regardless of what choice she made and regardless of what she did, she was still going to meet that guy. Okay, now that you can take your mufflers off. So, but I highly suggest you to watch the movie because it's really, really interesting, the way that they shot it, and they show the parallel lives of like, if she had chosen this, this is what would have happened. If she had chosen this would have happened. And this would have happened. And it's really interesting to see how wildly different her life was, but yet the players were still the same. So then you go, is it fate or is it free will? You see what I mean? Like maybe Jamie was destined to come into the live stream on this particular day for this particular reason that I haven't seen yet. I don't know. It's called Sliding Doors, starring Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know where it's playing. You might have to buy it. I don't know. But I'm just saying. So, okay. With that being said now, parallel realities. So if that's the case, right? And so this is going to lead into the spiritual law. Quantum physics dictates that everything is energy, because if we are all atoms, the way that we create matter, physical things, are by atoms vibrating against each other, right? The slower the vibration, the more fluid the object. So if you want to take something like water, water as just water in my cup right now is slower because it's liquid, right? But if you freeze it, the atoms are like that and it creates a solid matter, which we call ice, right? And then if it's even slower than water, it becomes water vapor or steam or mist, right? So when you're thinking about that, you go, okay, so in order for me to get to the reality or get to the timeline where I am rich and happy and famous and fulfilled and all of the things, then I have to be, now we're going to get into spiritual law and a lot of this jargon of I have to be an energetic match, or I have to be a vibrational match to that reality, the version of me who does have it all, right? Because quantum physics states that when you are vibrating at the right frequency, you are going to attract those things that are of that same frequency, right? So that then brings us into spiritual law. Now, there are 13 main spiritual laws that our life on earth is dictated by, but the two of the ones that we use for manifesting are the law of attraction and the law of assumption. That's where you get the Abraham Hicks girls, and that's where you get the Delulu girls, okay? So the thing is that if that were really the case, right, and all you had to do, now here's the thing, law of attraction says like attracts like, and law of assumption states that you get what you assume to be true. Those are the laws, right? And the mechanics behind it is the fact that if you actually assume that you are rich, and then your attraction, your vibration is that of a rich person, a wealthy person, then therefore, now here's the caveat, it needs to be your dominant vibration. Now, when it says dominant, that means you can't be like, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, and then let it go and be like, I'm sad, I'm poor, I feel lack, I don't have enough money for the rest of the day. That is not being a vibrational match. You're still beating the drum. Your dominant vibration is lack. In order for it to be your dominant vibration, it needs to be over 50% of the time in that frequency. So if you want it obviously faster, 80 to 90% is the range to go for. You don't need to be at 100%. You can have a bad day. You can have a bad moment. But the dominant vibration of yourself needs to be at optimum levels, 80 to 90%, in order for that reality to come in like this, right? And that's when you hear my stories of like, yeah, I got engaged. The guy was abusive. I broke up with him. We were going to get married on this cruise ship. The tickets were non-refundable. I decided, I had a come to Jesus moment, and I decided I was going to meet the one on the cruise ship. And my girlfriends thought I was crazy. So I went to my journal and I started scripting. I mean, down to the fucking detail of like how big his dick was. Okay. And like what song he would play for me on the piano, and like what kind of humor we would have and what activities we would do on the boat. And like, I mean, I was specific, right? And I held that frequency until I got to the Miami airport and then freaked the fuck out because I was like, oh my God, I am so delusional. What the fuck am I doing with my life? But what happened? Because I was so certain. I didn't care what my friends thought. I didn't care what my therapist thought at the time. I didn't give a shit. I was like, y'all can think whatever you want. This is happening. Watch me, right? And what happens? That guy literally sat next to me on the van from the airport to the cruise ship. So by the time we got on the cruise ship, everyone thought we were a couple already. And yes, he did end up playing my favorite Disney song on the piano without me prompting it. He literally everything, 6 foot, actor and musician, black hair, because he dyed it, beautiful light hazel eyes. We laughed at the same things. We did all these sort of, we rode horses along the beach together. We went and played with the dolphins together. Like he changed his dining room seating so he could sit with me and be in my time slot or whatever. And I had written that down in my thing. It was 7 pages. It was a lot. Okay. Like my imagination just went, whoa, or maybe it was a vision that I downloaded. I don't fucking know at that time because I wasn't really spiritual at the time. But the craziest part was about that manifestation was the fact that when he, because if you want the long story of it, there was a room called La Paloma Blanca on the ship, was basically the white room. So it was a white bar, white couches, white tables, a white baby grand piano. So we sat down at the white baby grand piano and he was like, hey, I want to give you a little present. And I was like, okay. We had not talked about my Disney obsession the entire time up to this point. And so he goes, I want to play a song for you. And then he starts singing, da 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 da. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, I'm trying, like, obviously he was trying to serenade me. And I was like, you read my journal. Like I really attacked him because I was like, there's no way he could have known what my favorite Disney song was. We weren't mentioning it. Like, I don't know how he found this out, but I was like freaked out of my mind. And so I went downstairs and he didn't read my journal. It was still like literally locked away in my suitcase. So I brought it upstairs and I was like, read this and then tell me what you think. And like he low key like went pale and he was like kind of freaked out and he was like, this is me. And I was like, I know. And then he just was like, I was like, but look at the date that I wrote it. And don't read my entries afterwards, but like, this wasn't like I met you on the ship and then wrote 7 pages and then backdated it and then like, I'm showing it to you now. You know what I mean? Like it was written months ago. You know what I mean? And so he was like, holy shit, it's fate. I call that free will. Right? Because I manifested you into my life. I was like, this is my husband. And then he fell in love with me and it was amazing. You know what I mean? For the time that it lasted. The only thing, detail that it got wrong was that he lived in Canada. Oh, hey, Jamie. He lived in Canada and not LA. That was the only thing that was off. Every single thing else was 100% accurate. So that's the power of spiritual law mixed with quantum physics and neuroscience that allowed me to have full control and autonomy over my reality, right? So then, Donna V, I miss you. So then when you're looking at the two options, fate versus free will, and then looking at all of these systems like astrology, Vedic, tropical, numerology, human design, all of that shit, or the neuroscience way, which one would you choose? Right? Which one would you choose? Or is there a way to kind of combine them all together so you don't get so disappointed because everything has fucked you over to this point? Because, oh no, it's a Mercury retrograde. Who gives a fuck? If you're really so in your vibrational frequency of wealth, love, success, whatever the fuck have you, it doesn't matter that Trump is president. It doesn't matter that we're going into World War III. It doesn't matter that they are like the billionaires are taking over. It doesn't matter that there's a classist war. It doesn't matter that there's already a war happening all in fucking Israel, right? It doesn't matter because your vibration, your frequency that you are admitting, and they even have proved it in science that your heart, when it beats, boom, 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 is literally vibrating, like amplifying your frequency every time your heart beats. I hear your heart beat like the beat of the drums. Oh, what a shame that I came here with someone. Oh my God, I love you, Dedevi. Thank you for sharing the live so much. But does that make sense? So if you're not going to be able to, if you have that much power, then why do you even need astrology to begin with? Then one could argue that you don't even need astrology to understand who the fuck you are and who you came here to be, right? Because then we get into the land of the chosen ones, the light workers, those who have a double mission, those who are here to save the collective. And then we get into the spiritual woo-woo conspiracy theory shit of the fact that some of us came here on Earth that are literal humans. How do I explain this? That are incarnations of actual goddesses. Like, you know how in Greek mythology, they say that Zeus likes to come down and get into a human body and like, kind of like hang out with the mortals just for fun because he's bored up there in Mount Olympus, right? So there are some people, now this is the spiritual line of woo-woo conspiracy theory that, again, I don't have facts on because it's so out there, right? Which is why I like to talk in facts. But for the purpose of philosophizing this, okay? There are people who are actually secretly an immortal goddess or god of some pantheon, right? Like the downloads that I've been getting is the fact that a new pantheon of gods is being created this lifetime, or at least when I'm alive, that there is a systemic dysfunction that has caused so much destruction that there is a whole group of souls that are missioned to restructure not only like the world order, but also this whole entire simulation that we call the earthly experience. On top of that, those souls are also required, or it's their mission, to not only restructure world order and Earth's like this whole purgatory garbage, but also the Galactic Federation Council and how we evolve as multiple alien species in the Eververse. I'm not talking just our universe. I am talking about the multiple Eververse. Now, that is a really, really, really delusional and big mission to even like claim. And I don't even know if someone would want to claim all of that. But the visions that I have been getting, and like when I have been conversing with the primordials and the powers that be, that is very real. And they are here and they are doing the work, right? I don't think that it's fun. I don't think that that's like something that is anything to be taken lightly at all. And I think it's something that is a lot grander of a scope of perspective than 99% of the humans can even comprehend, right? So with that I don't necessarily, I think that those downloads are very specific for a very specific group of people that I should not be giving to the masses. And that's also why, going back to my chart, why I'm not meant for the masses, or I should be revered by the masses, but maybe for this like synthesization. I'm making up words, but the synthesizing of all of these spiritual modalities so that the regular humans, okay, or even the chosen, or even like light workers, because light workers are different from chosen ones and they're a completely different group of people. But the light workers and healers and psychics and all of that stuff, the people who came here to ascend and evolve, they can use this IP framework that I will be creating in order to understand why they incarnated here, who they came here to be, what karmic lessons they came here to learn, how to actually learn them in the least sufferable way. You may have to suffer a little bit, but maybe it's not to like, not to the level that which you have to, right? And then being able to make it in an easy to understand language that you could understand and self-study, it would make the whole entire human experience a lot more pleasant because you wouldn't have to endure war if you didn't need to. You wouldn't have to then subscribe to getting suppressed or abused or, you know, unalived and, you know, all of the words that I just don't want to continue to say on this live stream, but you get my point, right? So I say all this to say that, like, if you want sort of the very, very like long TLDR of what I've been talking about all night, is just the fact that there is one sentence that I think is the hill that I will die on moving forward for my true identity, which is that when you finally discover or understand or embrace, embody, whatever you want to call it, when you finally know who you truly are, then you can finally create the life that you would love to live. And the reason why I say that is because if you think, for example, let's take me for example, that I'm meant to be an actress. I'm meant to be an A-list celebrity actress, and that is what I'm supposed to do. And then it's not my destiny, it's not who I am, then me carving a life in Hollywood is going to suck my soul, is going to make me suffer, and is going to drain the ever living life and happiness out of me. Versus understanding, oh, wow, I'm supposed to be a thought leader. I'm supposed to be like authoring books. I'm supposed to be creating like, you know, intellectual property that's never been created before that's going to help the collective, you know, rise. You know, that's a whole different level of fame than like being a Tom Cruise or like a Zendaya or whatever. Like, that's great. Or like, it's cool to, I guess, to be Marilyn Monroe or Audrey Hepburn. But if you actually look at the inners of their lives, look at Robin Williams. Like, what a celebrated hero. And he, like, look at how he passed. He was so unhappy, even with all of that success, even with all of the joy, even with forcing production to hire homeless people on every single production he was on so he could help those who didn't even have a home. He helped like over 1,500 people, homeless people, get jobs. Like, what a fucking amazing human. And look at how he passed. That's not right. And you want to tell me that this Earth School, this simulation is supposed to help us reach like total like enlightenment? Through what? Because this shit isn't working. If it was working, history wouldn't be repeating itself. And I have sharp pattern recognition. And again, like, I can see what's good and what's not. I will tell you what's good and what's not. Like, if you want to really know about this company and why I do unfortunately have, like, I do love this hoodie, but like, I don't love everything about it. And I'll tell you the pros and cons and why I won't buy any more. You see what I'm saying? So, but who is they, Teresa? You say they don't want us to. Who is they? Who are you talking about? The government? It's above the government. Your angels? It's above the angels. Your ancestors? They're doing the best that they can. Who are you talking about, they? The Galactic Federation Council? You want to go there? Because I've barged in on a meeting before. They didn't like it, but that's not my problem. You know? Like, if I reveal my true identity of who I really am at my core, forget astrology, right? Most people would think that I'm like deluded in a negative way. So I just don't say it because it doesn't make any sense. There's no value to it. The people who know need to know. That's it, right? I just try to be accessible. I try to be human. I try to understand and have empathy. And then the human part of me is like, needs to also deal with its human shit, right? Like, this is the vehicle, and I'm trying to make it the best vehicle possible, right? I agree, Dada V. So, oh my God, I feel like it would be so much fun to hang out with Dada V. I love it. So, I say all this to say, hey, Nicole. Hey, girl. I just finished my whole tirade. But I say all this to say that I think moving forward, I don't know if I am going to really be posting on TikTok as much anymore because TikTok is a firewood engine. It requires daily upkeep. And, if I'm going to maximize my abilities, like, I don't think that this is the best place. Now, I still love going live because this is live. It is long. It is my platform. I don't have to cut myself off. I can talk about what I am an authority over, and I can engage in a way that feels good to me when it feels good to me, right? That's different. I think I probably am going to start my podcast, right? Because that makes sense. It's my voice. I can do a video, so I can also double on YouTube, etc. I randomly found your reading of you telling me to look into Odin. Turns out my name is Germanic. Nice. Oh, Allie, yay. No, I just found you. No, so meandering, like, I want to say, like, I'm still going to be posting content. It's just not going to be only tarot readings because as the people who have been watching this live, what my strength is strategic analysis and being able to codify and systemically tell you step by step how to actually navigate your way through all of this garbage that we call a fucking shit show of a life here on earth. And I think it's really difficult because there are so many people on here, on this app even, who are like, oh, you have to buy my course. Oh, you got to do it this way. Oh my God, this is the way. This is the way. You have to do TikTok shop. You have to follow Western astrology. No, you have to do Vedic astrology. No, you have to know human design. No, you have to know your numerology. No, you don't need to listen to that at all. No, you need to listen to what I'm doing. No, this is how I got myself to $1 million because like, I'm just like at 26 years old because like, I just did that. No, you just have to do Abraham Hicks. No, you just have to do subliminal messaging. No, you just have to listen to the list goes on. No, you just have to buy the shadow work journal and do that. No, you just have to make a vision board and do that. No, you don't. You don't have to do any of that. That's where I come in because there's so much misinformation, number one. And number two, people are claiming that their way is the only way or the way to do something, and that's just false. So if you're going to sit there and try to help people get through life, especially in the spiritual world, which is like, that's why I just don't even like spiritual talk, okay? Good. I'm so glad, Teresa. I'm glad it helped. So what if we're never rich or famous? We were happy. Sure. Or it can just be that you're peaking later in life and your fame will come later. Or if you did still want to have fame in order to have impact, then you can do that if you want to subscribe to neuroscience, quantum physics, and spiritual law versus your astrology charts and transits and timings. That's what I'm talking about. It's wildly different. And there's two completely different camps of thought, but they all can work cohesively together, or you can attempt to do some of the other. But as I'm trying to codify this, and I've been thinking through this, like, we have to find a system that's better than just Googling shit or letting AI LLMs give you false information and then you taking that as truth and you not using critical thinking or your intuition. That's another issue that's going to be coming up, right? Margie says, which is why we are a collective coming together to build heaven on earth. Sure, the people who are on that mission, but not everybody is on that mission. Not everybody wants to change. Look at how many people were still buying so much stuff during Black Friday, even though we were having a mass boycott. Look at the people who don't care and are still giving all of their data to the billionaires. Look at the people who are still drinking Starbucks every day, for example. It takes time, unfortunately, but it's because the old system is crumbling, right? And the people who are ahead of the curve are meant to pave the way. It's called being a trailblazer. It's called being a visionary leader. That's why I keep on saying my visionary leaders, superstars, and those who identify with being the chosen ones, because those are ultimately the people that I am meant to serve. The people who are wealthy, the people who are chosen, and the people who are truly here to make a damn difference. But you cannot, there's no amount of spiritual bypassing and gaslighting that you can do on me that is going to make me think that you are here for good. And I'll give you an example, okay? Yeah, how do you know the Google got it right? Exactly. So the other thing, I'm just going to give you this example, okay? So thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you. So another thing is this. I knew of someone. Well, anyway, for those of you who have been following my stories and stuff like that, and like the Rider Dice, it's friend C. No, friend B, friend C. Anyway, you don't want to be a letter friend of mine because it'll be like all the way in the alphabet. But anyway, friend B, who is no longer my friend, is a spiritual coach, type of person. And because I'm trying to like just to like keep anonymity, right? But basically, this person, while having pretty strong powers and has been dedicated to their craft for the majority of their life, right? Thank you so much. They have a very destructive, I actually did their birth chart because I was like wildly curious. And it turns out in Chinese astrology, they have a wildly destructive chart. So they are, their makeup, right? Especially in the shadow side, is to, like they're a fire, so they'll just like consume, they'll just like find anyone in their area. Oh, Data V, Data V, Data V, Data V. It was the one that you said was like they're unclean and that they're just gonna like drop their shit everywhere, right? And you're so clean, so they're dirty. It's that person, right? So that's actually your intuitive, like psychic pickup was 100% correct and backed by the stats of their Chinese birth chart, because they will just suck the energy out, take what they need, and then when you don't give them what they want anymore, they'll just burn the bridge and then move on to their next victim. They're not caring. They actually aren't loving. They aren't healthy. They are very hurt and broken, and they are not they are not a chosen one. They're also not going to be able to get into the new earth. They are also not going to be able to have like a happy and fulfilling life because of their destructive tendencies. I seem to attract the type. So it's interesting because I think that, I don't even think I'm going to hide it, but high key, like if anyone is wanting to be in my inner circle moving forward, like you're going to have to give me your full birth information and I'm going to have to run it through and see exactly whether we're compatible or not. Because I am so sick and tired of allowing people into my life that take advantage of my kindness, that do not respect my boundaries, and who literally don't try to, they take advantage of me and then make me the villain of their story and trauma dump on me. No, thank you. You can kindly fuck off now. And if you actually, and this is what's crazy, that particular person, I did reveal like who I truly am. And it's wild because even after knowing that, to have the audacity or the lack of perspective to be able to like respect me is kind of wild. Because when you disrespect someone like me, I'm telling you right now, I don't even have to curse you. The gods themselves will do it for me. The ones that you pray to. Yes. So that is how protected I am. And it's not a flex. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm the coolest person on the planet. I'm just saying, do right by me, I do right by you. 10 out of 10. I will love you. I will respect you. I will give you all the things. Like, we're cool. We're straight. But the moment that you step over that and you betray my trust, or you attack me like that, you can kindly fuck off. You are the coolest. Oh, thank you. Oh, protected. Oh my God. Why am I like singing Britney songs now? But you get my point, right? So I say all this to say that let me give you some advice to prepare for the fire horse year. All right. For those of you still watching, you can kindly suck a dick and die for all I care. It's fine. All right. Misha, I am coming up with keychains to help with protection for that. So if you are interested, there'll be like things that I hand make. Oh, you bought the wolf gold necklace. Oh my God. I have mine too, though. I have mine too. Yes, twinsies. We can be besties. Wolf pack. I should make a wolf pack. Because the AI videos are getting just dangerous. Oh my God. I'm getting so duped. Anyhow. All right. So, questions, comments, concerns. Questions, comments, concerns. Sorry. This is what I was going to do. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. Actually, let me take a 2-second break. I need to pee really bad. But when I come back, I would like to share with y'all things that you can do to prepare for the Fire Horse year on February 17th, 2026. The Fire Horse energy is actually going to start on February 4th. But I would love to give you some tips on things that you can prepare to do. Think of it like your winter arc situation. I know it started back in October for me, but like now we're really officially in winter arc since today is the winter solstice. So if that's something that you're interested in, then go ahead and comment below with your questions. Let me go pee and I will be right back to share those details. Okay? Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for waiting. I really had to pee. Oh, okay. So, oh my gosh, happy early birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Kristen! Happy birthday! Oh my gosh, I hope this next year around the sun is truly your best year yet. Okay, I genuinely hope that. And maybe it can if we can figure out all the things. Um, I was even thinking about doing things like birthday sort of like lookbook. So you can be like, okay, this next year, this is the best thing to wear. This is the best way to dress myself, to like focus on, like blah blah blah. I feel like that would be so fun. Um, because that's also another part too, right? Like I love spirituality, but it's not really all of what. Yes, exactly. Oh, thank you, Donna B. And so not if but when, right? Because I've wanted to like help, like I want to create like your anyway. I have a whole thing, so I can help you create your most iconic self for that year. And every year you could get it as a birthday present to yourself. And it's like, okay, so for this year, we're entering the era of, and then like have a whole packet where you get to have like, I'll coin you a name and like, the vibe and like, you don't even all the fun things. Like, I feel like, because here's my point, and then the things to do. So this is going into the tips. So, I believe that my new title, we're going to try it out right now. Y'all tell me what you think. But basically, my new title is going to be an identity and wealth architect. So what that means is I help you architect, right? Like draw up the blueprint of your most iconic self, who you truly came here to be, right? I help you design it. I help you understand it. I help you like go, okay, this is who you are. This is what you're meant to do. This is what you're meant, you know what I mean? Like how the easiest way for you to make money, best partners, da 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 da. But it's not just the inside, because when you finally lock in your identity, then everything else falls into place. Then we can go, okay, we need the outside to match the inside, right? You don't want to be like, oh, I'm actually this like literal goddess IRL, and yet you're sitting here in mismatched like sweatpants with like stains on the front from like the spaghetti that you ate last night. Like, that's not a look for a goddess. You know what I'm saying? You need your outside to match your inside. That's why like I hellaciously like take care of myself. And I know what looks good on me and what doesn't, right? Like I do get compliments on these glasses all the time because I specifically tried on hundreds of pairs of glasses until I was like, no, I want one that like accentuates my face, makes me look like I'm a smart CEO businesswoman, but is still like trendy and is like, whatever. And so these were the ones. And then that's what I chose. So here's my point moving into the fire horse year. So for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of my live, at the beginning, I was talking about Chinese astrology and how the year of the wood snake was like a candle. It's like a tiny little light like that, okay? And it was illuminating every single thing that was not aligned with who you truly are. And when I mean who you truly are, as in who you are as a soul, right? Which you can find out from your Vedic astrology, not your Western. Okay, these are the things that I would love to teach in a course or a self-study course for you or something like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know, because I wish that I had this. And so I'm just trying to codify a way, because if I had this knowledge, I would not have wasted my time like 15 years in Hollywood. Do you see what I'm saying? I would have found a different avenue, or I would have made my mark much earlier because of the expertise that, you know what I mean? Because of that guidance, if that makes sense. You're beautiful. Don't worry so much inside. Oh, thank you, Dada B. So because the year of the wood snake illuminated exactly who you are, right? The fire horse is going to then put a fucking spotlight on you. No one is going to be able to hide. Therefore, before it gets here, so I'm telling you now, So you have time to prepare. Okay? For the next 2 months, at least, especially till February 4th, but you technically have until the 17th. But I would probably say make February 4th like your marker, right? And from now until the February 4th, you're going to want to like clear out the rest of this old identity. And you're going to want to start to implement and understand and put into a new OS, a new operating system of who you actually want to be highlighted as in 2026. Okay? So if you're not a chosen one and you just want to like live wealthier and you don't want to subscribe to the astrology, then sure, just like choose your fucking identity and then start making that your identity. Start living it. Start feeling into it. Start curating the wardrobe. Start putting the outfits together so that when someone asks you out on a date, you can get ready in 20 minutes and know, like, have total confidence that you're walking out the door like, I know what I am worth, right? Or you can get ready in 20 minutes to go on air for a live interview on your latest public speaking engagement. Okay? This is going to be really important because when you think about the areas of wealth and love and your health, right? Or like how you present yourself, image does matter, right? Like, you usually don't want to pay someone a lot of money if they look like a slob, if they arrive late, if they don't take care of themselves, because it's like if you're husband shopping, right? And you're like, oh, really? I'm not looking for, I'm not a Build-A-Bear. I'm not a Build-A-Bear workshop. I'm not a Build-A-Man workshop. So if you need to be built, you can go build yourself. Like, right? Like if you're a queen and you want a king, you got to act like a queen. You got to look like a queen. You got to be a motherfucking queen, right? You have to rule your realm. You have to have your boundaries. You have to know your standards. And you have to know what you are willing and not willing to tolerate, right? In wealth, when you're talking about making money in this kind of economy, right? You don't go, oh man, I have to get like a fourth job and like, oh no, like all I can do is DoorDash. I'm so poor. That is not your real identity. You see, you're choosing a lack identity instead of a wealthy identity. A wealthy identity, in 2 months, you can easily come up with one product that you are good, like that showcases your talents and gifts that you can market to your specific niche that can make you a shit ton of money. Or if you are the fire and wood people, like, because there's 3 wealth archetypes in Chinese astrology, right? So people who build it over time, people who build infrastructures, and people who do like the mass burnings, right? So if you do have fire and wood, but you've been too scared to be an influencer or to do TikTok shop or like let yourself out there like these content creator moms, like the whole mom talk thing or whatever, this is the time to get on board with that. If that is in your chart, right? And then you start doing it and you start doing it now and you start to build the momentum to solidify the identity that you want the fire horse to illuminate in all of 2026. So if you don't want to be highlighted as an introverted bookworm who has social anxiety and like doesn't know what to do with herself and doesn't know how to make money except for the little bits that she does to get by, then you need to change it now during this winter arc. You don't have to publicize it. You don't have to sit there and cry about it in therapy if you don't want to. Like, this is literally about choosing who you truly are and making sure that your actions back up the bitch that you claim you want to be. And again, it's not wanting to be, it's about starting to embody. Does that make sense? I'm an emperor. Yeah, you are. Does that make sense? Questions? Yay! Okay, so that is your homework. All right. I cannot handhold you through it. I know for the next 2 months, I am going to be creating the infrastructure or the framework of that IP for the synthesization so that that can be something that can be taught. Other people can teach it. It's going to be great and it'll be awesome. But I also want to create that self-study course or at least write a book on it so that it is available to you if you want that information, so you know where to look and where to go and how to put it together without me. You know what I mean? Like, you can do this on your own if you want to. But of course, if you want my expertise and you want it just pinpointed for you, then of course, yeah, then you would have to pay my prices, right? But that is my main focus, because then once I have that capital, right, and I'm going to be able to then help more people get out of their slumber, help them align with their wealthiest selves. They in turn are going to be able to then help other people. And then we can like flip this fucking bitch around faster, because I personally don't like where this is going. Yeah. Like, think about it. Like, even once you get off this live, like, go and like, right before you go to sleep, like, just you can ask your angels and your ancestors and whoever you pray to illuminate for you while you sleep. You can get the downloads. Like, we're in hibernation season. It is literally officially winter. So this is a time to reflect and revise and to reassess really what the fuck is going on. Lilith just exited Scorpio and now she's in Sagittarius. You know what I'm saying? So look at what house Sagittarius is ruling in your chart, and you're going to see where Lilith is going to be pulling back the layers of what you need to do to really get whatever that house is ruling in, right? So, for example, my Sagittarius is in my second house, so it's going to be around the areas of money, right? And so what I've been working on is like finding a sustainable way that is going to like not drain the ever living fuck out of me, and is going to allow me to have the excess or the abundance of income in order to launch, right, these flagship offers and stores. Because eventually my plan, and let me know if you'd be interested in something like this, right? But I'm like, I want to create the course, so I'm going to definitely be asking for some people who are interested in being beta testers for it. And then I want to then eventually, the grand scale is to have brick and mortar salons. Like, think of it like a luxury spa that you could go to, get your charts done in the synthesization that I create in this like architecture or whatever. And like, let's say it's Kristen's birthday. So she's like, oh my God, it's my birthday present. We'll obviously have a birthday special. And I get to go in, I get to get my chart done, I get to get this reading, and you get the makeover. So not only do you get the reading, but it's like a whole full day of like, oh my God, you get your color analysis, you get your body measurements, you get like a whole entire capsule wardrobe, you get custom makeup created for you, you get like the hairstyle, you get like the whole kit and caboodle. And then you get like a whole pamphlet or a PDF or a book that you could like bring home with you, so that you would know like, oh my God, so this next year I'm going to do this and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And so it's combining the spirituality in very factual, data pointed terms, right? Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, Dadavi, I see for you, bitch, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me look my eyeballs. You're fucking human. You're living in this 3D universe. You're supposed to be enjoying the 3D fucking things. You see what I'm saying? But if you're not enjoying the 3D, then something needs to change. And the last way that I'll explain it to you that makes a lot of sense, right? This one creator did this in like, they showed it in circles, okay? I kind of do it linearly, but whatever you can imagine. So I'll do the circles and then I'll explain it my way too. But anyway, so the most outer circle, right, is your 3D reality, your circumstances, how much money you have in your bank account, how much you weigh, the size of your body, who you have as a partner, the clothes that you're wearing, all that shit, right? That is your current physical reality, right? So what causes that reality to occur? Does anyone know? I'd love to test you before I tell you the answers. Does anyone know? Bueller, Bueller. What is my tiny little ear doing? Oh my God. Okay, anyway. Okay, so let me just tell you. Your current reality, right, is dictated by what? Your thoughts. Remember I told you about the neuroscience and how your thoughts, your literal thoughts are neurons that activate your brain to say, look for this, look for the red BMW, look for the red BMW, or I think I said Mercedes earlier. Look for the BMW, okay, right? So your thoughts dictate your reality. So there's a lot of the thought people out there. Oh, you just got to change your thoughts. Just choose different thoughts. That's why they have the the affirmations on repeat. That's when you have like all of that stuff, right? Okay. So, but here's the thing, that doesn't always work for people, right? Why? Okay, what dictates your thoughts? What dictates your thoughts? Well, your thoughts are active. You have active thoughts, but what dictates your thoughts? Your environment, your emotions? Nope. Nope. Yes! Ding, ding, ding. Nicole for the win. Your beliefs. Your beliefs dictate your thoughts, which dictates your reality. So that's why I have a shift your belief session, because you can think all day long, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, and your bank account has negative $7 in it. You want to know why? Because your belief is ultimately, I'm poor. So you can say the thought, I'm a billionaire, all you want. But if your belief is that I am not a billionaire, and that is your true belief, I know I'm not a billionaire, right? Like I looked at my bank account yesterday, it has negative $7, right? Your belief is going to override that. So what creates your belief? What creates your beliefs? I love how I'm doing this like a class right now instead of just telling you, but I just am curious. What creates your beliefs? Does anyone know? Anyone? Bueller? I was a ghost, I was alone. Ha! 두와진 ha! 계속해. Ha! Okay, so your beliefs are created by your subconscious. Hold on one second. I have to write this down because I start to like... Oh, I have another... I could teach about that later, but that's too much for today. All right, this is getting a little long, so let me break it down a lot more quickly. I thought I had written it down quick, like, and I was trying to find it in my journal. If I can't find it in a second, then I will just go ahead and tell you the answer. I love how I can't find the one thing that I'm looking for. That's fine. Okay. So, no. Okay. But that's a great question, Nicole. Nicole said, so if your subconscious shapes your beliefs, then your experiences shape those. No. So, all right. All right. Let me try and do this in rapid fire because I was like, okay. So your reality is dictated by your thoughts. Your thoughts are dictated by your beliefs. Your beliefs are dictated by your subconscious. Your subconscious is dictated by your desires. Oh no, your beliefs are, yeah, your subconscious is by your desires. And so that's kind of like you're like, oh yeah, this makes me, oh, I really want to do that. And then your desires are dictated by what? Your identity. Now, do you see how this all goes into play? So your identity literally dictates everything else because the experiences, it's neither here nor there because it's how you interpret the experience. The experience is neutral. How you interpret it makes it positive or negative. But how you interpret it is determined by your identity. Because if your identity is one who is like, oh, I'm an opportunist. Like I always see an opportunity as like, even if it's a negative one, it's like, something like, oh, a loss, like someone broke up with you, like a death or whatever, then it's like, yeah, that's really sad. Yeah, that's upsetting. Yeah, I didn't like that happening. But wow, here's what I learned about that. Okay, cool. Right? So your identity is your soul, right? And you choose that identity, right? Now, identity, that's a great question. So how is your identity shaped? Your identity, and so this is what I want to discuss in a book. Because I have like a bunch of like things, but what I can tell you right now off the bat is the fact that your identity is it. There are several different identities that you have, and this is the interesting and fascinating part about identity work, right? Now, the law of Delulu girls would just say you just choose the fucking identity and then you just do it. Technically, you can, right? But we have the identity that we were born with. That is your soul blueprint. That is why I was looking into tropical astrology, Vedic astrology. Vedic is more for your soul. Chinese astrology will tell you a little bit more accurately about your soul, okay? Versus Western astrology or tropical astrology shows you how you are being perceived or how your human ego wants to express itself. That's very different than the blueprint of who you are. Okay? Right? Yes, I've read Carl Jung. No, these are Carolina Herrera's. So when you, well, then you don't have to fucking be here. Like, get the fuck out. Okay. So then, hold on. Get it. There we go. Yes, but it's a lot more in depth than just the zodiacs. There's 4 pillars. There's like, it's a whole thing. So thank you. Thank you, Alyssa. So, there's the identity that you were actually born with, right? So your soul's identity. That's the one that I want to help you create because that's literally who you are. But um, we also have like different types of identities. Some like identities were given to us by our parents, identities were given to us by society, identities were given to us by our cultural upbringing, by our environment, by our schooling, by our friends, by our partners, by our jobs. There are so many different identities, right? Because an identity is purely just something that you identify with. Like, I am a woman. I don't think that I'm a man. I know that I have like a vagina. Like I am a gender of a female. So I'm a woman this lifetime, right? That's an identity. Being a woman is an identity. Being an Asian woman is an identity. Being a Chinese, Thai, Asian American, first generational American, Asian American is an identity. That's why they have groups, right? You find your group versus just like someone who was actually born there. That's a different identity. When I was an actress, that was my identity. I also had an identity of being an actress, a singer, a dancer, a performer, a storyteller, a writer, a creator, an artist. Thank you for all of the gifts, right? Those are still all identities. If you have children, you're a mom or a dad, you're a sister, a brother, a grandchild, an aunt, a cousin. These are all identities, right? Oh, she's the girl that always has the blah. That's a tarot reader, psychic. You have so many different identities, right? So which one do you choose? Which one do you choose to be? You also have the identity of someone who's poor, who's rich, depending on what you believe, right? But your identity determines everything. Because when you are an actress, you're going to act, right? But if you're an engineer, that's not to say that you're not going to be acting, or maybe you're like the class clown and you like to like, I don't know, do community theater on the weekends? Sure. But usually someone who's in the field of engineering or like IT is not going to be someone in the arts. They're going to be more science-based. So they would consider themselves more of an engineer than they would an artist, right? So it will wildly change your actions. And if you are changing your actions, then it's going to then change the beliefs, the thoughts, the desires that you want, right? If you're science-based versus artistic, right? Or just let's even go back to science versus spiritual, right? That's why I don't subscribe to like religions, because they just try to pigeonhole you into one thing. And I think that a lot of spirituality does that too. Like, it's Western astrology. And I'm like, you can shut the fuck up. It's not just you. You're not the one with all the answers. I'm sorry. You're just not. Because if you were, this whole world would have been saved. Period. So you can always DM me whatever email me, because I don't check my DMs. But anyway, so my point is this: when you have science versus spirituality as an identity, you're going to be like, oh, astrology and psychic and tarot and like my intuitive, and I got this download. And then the science people are going to be like, you're fucking deluded. It's literally atoms vibrating together and knocking each other. That's creating a fucking frequency that you can measure on this machine. There's no mysticism. There's no woo-woo. There's no 12th dimension of galactic oneness of Christ consciousness going on. There's literally just atoms hitting each other to create a frequency, and that is measured on this machine. That's how you can determine what is what and what is what. Right? Two different camps of thought. Which one is right, which one is wrong? Neither. They're both right. It's their identity. Their identity dictated their actions. The scientist is going to go and make scientific experiments, and the spiritualist is going to go into deep dive meditations and commune with whatever. Right? So what is your identity? What do you subscribe to? Right? Because when you choose the identity, then your actions are going to change. So like, for example, when I stopped, I have the answer to that, Dada B. It's the void. That's science. Like atoms exist, but what created them? The void. It was called, that's why they called it the Big Bang Theory. It was just basically out of pressure. So, um, so here's what's funny. When you say energy can't be created or destroyed, that's according to physics. But if you want to take it an even level further, and I think this is where like this is why like I postulate this all the time, but it's like actually that only exists on planet Earth. Regular physics only applies to the physical reality that we are experiencing in this simulation that we call Earth. This does not apply elsewhere. And it doesn't apply on different planes of dimensions. So, again, depending on your identity and what your desires are, it's going to dictate the actions that you take due to your beliefs and your thoughts. And that's really what the distinction is. Because if you can understand the hierarchy of why you have the life that you have, even if you take spirituality out of it, it is so logically based that it just makes fucking sense, right? The things that start to not make sense, which I'll dive into on my podcast and stuff like that, is when you're discussing the issues of, well, how come you tried so hard and you couldn't make it when you had all of the certainty in the world? Because quantum physics doesn't care whether you worked hard or not. Quantum physics just cares about your thoughts, your beliefs, and your conviction in what you actually believe. That's how you override the subconscious. Like my story of the guy on the cruise ship, right? I've done that many times in many other circumstances or whatever. I manifested, I stopped writing them down. I just would be like, I want a guest star role. And then I would literally get a guest star audition, like not even 30 seconds later. So when you have it and you can click into it and you have that ultimate certainty, it doesn't matter. Because at that time, when I booked like my guest star role or whatever, it was like, I literally was like, I am totally worth, I'm going to be a guest star act, like I'm going to get a guest star role. I already knew it. My identity was I am an actress that gets guest star roles that never goes on set for less than $1,000 a day. That was my identity. And because of that identity, I had different beliefs and thoughts and therefore desires and actions that I took that made that come true. Do you see how that works? Hi, Mel. So when you're sitting there and you're trying to prepare for the fire horse year, that's why I'm highly recommending you to go and take an inventory of your identities, because everything else will fall, like literally click into place like butter, when you can get that on lock. So whether you synthesize it on your own before I get this framework out, whether you just choose, because again, when I say I have receipts because I believe I still have that journal somewhere down in my basement, but I also just, if I can't find it, I'll be like, look at the roles that I booked. I'll tell you exactly what happened, when I booked them, why I booked them, how I booked them, etc. Like, it's just facts, right? Like, I'll give you another example, short example. Yeah, the I am that I am is powerful if you have conviction in it. But again, you can say all the live long day, I am famous, I am famous, I am famous. But if you're not famous, if it's not your identity, and if you're not walking around with being famous as your most dominant frequency or vibration, you're never going to get it. Like, you tell me why the videos that went viral for me on this platform are the ones where I am dressed up like a fucking Venus goddess, and I am spouting out massive truth, usually one that's like a little bit polarizing, with specific details on what you should do. And those are the ones that got millions of views. Even the perfume one, it was still the same. It was a story, but it was like, you don't understand. This is exactly what happened. And it was specifically because I was wearing the perfume. You see what I'm saying? That's different from, it has these gentle notes of like vanilla and strawberry or whatever the fuck it is. You see what I'm saying? That's different. And the energy was different. But I can't make every video like that because that's not my energetic makeup. And it also is just exhausting for someone like me. But for someone like Alex Earl and this other horrible influencer that I refuse to even name because I don't want to give her any more energy. By the way, side note, if you want to like talk about someone, but you don't want to give them energy, stop using their name and give them a nickname. That's why all of my ex-boyfriends have nicknames. Like Rainbow Not So Bright or Box of Rocks 1 and Box of Rocks 2. Like no one's going to know who that is. You know what I'm saying? But I know, but it devalues their power. It doesn't give them power. But every time you say Trump, you give him power. Yeah. I mean, they're wonderful ones too, but like they all get nicknames. That's just how it goes. Yeah, try it. Try it if you like it. Try it if you like it. I think it's just a really fun thing for me to do. So that's why it's like, oh, like the twat or, you know, like the clinger or the vagina. Yeah, I have an ex that is called the vagina because he just cried a lot. I was like, I can't do this right now. Yeah, Box of Rocks 1 and Box of Rocks 2. Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like I have like a slew. Like, and that's another thing too. I wanted to write a book about dating and romance and life and relationships based on all of my escapades and, you know, meeting past life soulmates and lovers and all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that the Klingon, yes, like things like that. It's just so funny. And like, also it's like, I don't know, I'm sure if they read it, they might be able to like, you know, like the jock, like, okay, fine. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe if they read the full tea on it, they would know exactly. I feel like I'm very much like, you know, in the movie, The Help, and like when she finally wrote the book with all of the stories and they were, and all of the slaves were talking about their owners and like, you know, like Bryn Rides, I was like, oh my God, you fucking bitch. But she can't do anything because like there was technically like, they didn't say her name. So no one would know. But she knows that she ate a pie made of poo. Right? Oh my God, best scene ever. But you get my point, right? That's called deniable plausibility and making sure that you're not there for a lawsuit, right? But it's true. And I think that, you know, as you move forward, once you claim your most iconic identity of who you truly are, everything else clicks into place. The money, the love, the wealth, the health, just the ease and all of that. And then all of this like hardships are like done. No, I'm not doing live readings today. I'm sorry, Sam. But thank you for asking. Maybe next time. I might do, I might do, I don't know. I'll have to like, I will have to meditate on it. But I might do live readings one more time just for shits and giggles for everyone. But I'm going to have caveats. Like they're going to be blunt. They're going to be honest. They're going to be strategic. And they're not going to be this like thing. Okay. Because y'all know what I can do. So it's like, I want to help you, but you have to help me help you. I can't do the work for you, but I can tell you what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. That I can do with my eyes closed or open. I just mean without cards, but I can use cards. I digress. Anyway, how was that? Gosh, I'm thank you so much for holding space for all of this philosophizing. This has been like, has it been like 2 hours? But this has been, and this is the thing, right? I hate short form TikTok, but I love going live. I love having you come into the chat. I love the engagement. I love your questions. I love the participation and I love the energy that you bring. And I'm just so grateful that the people who did stay hopefully got the information that I'm trying to put down. And if you resonated with all of the philosophizing that I was talking about, but also just very practically and logically and data pointed, like very scientifically put, like I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm not saying I had a vision of blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to literally talk to you in brass tacks motherfucking speech so we can demystify this whole like esoteric thing that they think is like, I just can't get behind it. Like I'm a very practical person. Even though I see, the demons that my spiritual mom brought to like watch out for me outside my bedroom window, like I can't logically explain that shit to you. That's for a different podcast. You know what I'm saying? But they're there and they're not going to harm me. And not all demons are bad. Those are the ones that like protect me. I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. You're so in tune, babe. I love it. Oh, I missed it. Can you give me a recap? Oh my God. I can't give you a 2-hour recap. I can just tell you this. The recap. Okay, let me just see if I can do a small recap. And then if there's any other questions, I'll go. I'll just say this. The year of the wood snake, which was 2025, was all about peeling off the false identities that aren't who you truly are. So in order to prepare for the year for the horse, you might want to actually like decide the identity that you actually are and start implementing that and embodying that and rearranging your life to operate like that. Because once the fire horse comes on February, well, you're really going to start to feel it on February 4th. And then from February 4th to February 17th, you better clean your house from top to bottom and get all that fucking energy out. Then February 17th is officially when Chinese New Year starts and the year of the fire horse. And it's going to be a sun that is going to illuminate everything. So if you did the work, you're going to get celebrated. If you didn't do the work, you're going to get exposed. It's going to be a fiery, fast, slightly unpredictable, but like a little bit of a chaotic year. But again, if you prepare now, you'll be stacked. And I want that for you. And then I went into the philosophization of the fact that you should, if you only subscribe to one spiritual modality like affirmations or tropical astrology or human design or whatever, if you only subscribe to one, then you're literally fucking yourself over. And you need to synthesize all of them in order to get a full grand picture of who you actually came here to be. And that is the framework that I will be creating. So it's easier to understand and you don't have to master all of the language and advanced knowledge of all of these systems, because clearly that would take you the rest of your life, right? So luckily I have been able to amass enough knowledge on, tropical and Vedic astrology, numerology, human design, I Ching, gene keys, and Chinese astrology, as well as neuroscience, quantum physics, and spiritual law. Did I miss anything? Oh, and then just intuitiveness. And then I feel like then for those of you who really like my downloads and like the stuff that I talk about when I like astral travel or when I like talk with the primordials and the gods and like the things that I see and like doing all of that soul work, that'll be a gate kept community. And we can talk about that stuff on another live. I think that summed up what I kind of talked about for 2 hours today. Did I miss anything? So if you're interested, I'm going to be moving forward as an identity and wealth architect. So if you're interested in cultivating and creating the identity where you get to have it all, the wealth, the money, the love without the loss and the stress and the strife, then that is what I am going to be doing come February. So I'm prepping myself and getting myself in order and getting my shit together so that I can create the course for y'all or write the book, get everything in order so that y'all can pave your way, because the more awake people are, the faster we can turn this ship around. So you're welcome, Emma. If you, and again, I am going to download this live and repost it onto my Substack. So if you want to subscribe for free, you don't have to pay. Then you can watch the replay there. And since it's 2 hours, listen to it while you're washing the dishes or doing laundry or wrapping your Christmas presents for your family. Okay? All right. Any last questions before I head out? Y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much for just allowing me to share my new revelations and my new wisdom that came through. I just didn't know how to put that into a 3-minute video. Sorry, not sorry. 2 hours is not long enough. Oh, Dada B, I love you. Thank you for the knowledge. Of course, Kristen. And happy early birthday. Have an amazing day tomorrow. That's so exciting. All right. I love you all to the moon and back. Of course, if you have any interest in wanting to be a beta tester for the framework of the course that I was talking about and all of that, or if you wanted to discuss or had any thoughts about what you would love for me to talk about moving forward or any ideas, of course, email me. So, yes, 9 more minutes. Oh my God. Then you can email me. Okay. And I always read every single email, personally. Right. So, have a wonderful evening. You've got this. Go work on that shit. And I will see you all soon. All right. Love you.